Next, migrating animals face a growing threat of extinction from hunting, fishing, pollution and habitat destruction, according to a new report. Overall, more than 40% of migratory species listed as needing international protection are declining in numbers. Many could be wiped out, with marine animals in greatest danger. The report by the UN Environment Programme is being presented at a gathering in Uzbekistan. Well, let's go and speak now to Susan Lieberman, who is the Vice President of International Policy at the Wildlife Conservation Society. Thank you very much for coming on the programme.
My pleasure. Good evening.
So what is the interest here in these migratory species that travel these large distances? What are the risks they're facing?
Migratory species are exposed to even greater threats than species that don't migrate across multiple countries because they're exposed to serious threats across their entire migratory route. A whale that migrates from Antarctica up the Atlantic Ocean into the Northern Hemisphere is exposed to tremendous risks. The same for migratory bird species, bat species, and many other species. This report is a wake-up call that governments and all of us need to do more for migratory species.
And what are some of the threats then? What are humans, what are people doing that is putting them at risk?
Well, one of the greatest threats is climate change, of course, but because animals are forced to change their habitats to adapt. But in addition, habitat loss, habitat destruction, and overexploitation, killing of wild species and destruction of their habitats for agriculture, for timber production, for mining. Those are the greatest threats to these species, but we can do something about them.
Okay, well, tell me what.
Well, we, citizens and governments, need to work together to set aside protected areas, to look and say, what do the migratory species need, and the local people who depend often on those species, what do they need in terms of protected areas? How can we reduce or limit the overexploitation? We know how to do conservation. I work for the Wildlife Conservation Society. We know how to help governments set up protected areas, and governments need to commit to do that, or we are going to lose these precious species.
Okay, we must leave it there. Dr. Sue Lieberman, thank you very much for coming on and talking us through that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.